What's going on, guys? Happy Wednesday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long-term issues. Today is Wednesday, January 31st, 2024. We're now multiple years into this pandemic. We're doing something a little bit different here. This is not a pandemic update. This is pretty much an update on the world right now. Let's face it, the world right now is sick. COVID started back in 2020. COVID, while at the beginning of the pandemic, we had no treatments. We do have some treatments now. We have vaccines now. However, there's one thing that has not changed since 2020. People are still getting sick day after day after day from this virus. People are still being hospitalized. People are still dying. Now, the number of people dying is not as great as 2020, but at the same time, the numbers that we do see through data are not accurate assessments of how many people are dying. Hospitalizations. Yes, while they are far less than what they were in 2020, again, they're not accurate assessments of how many people are being hospitalized for COVID. Why? Well, the data is being suppressed. These numbers, they're not fully accurate numbers. There's not always testing ongoing in hospitals. Some hospitals have stopped testing because they're not required to report it to the CDC in the United States. And this is not just a problem in the United States. It's a problem around the world. People are still sick. You can hide it any way, shape, or form. People are still sick. The percentage of people calling out of work because they are sick, the percentage of people leaving the workforce because they are sick, it's up. It's much higher than it was prior to when the pandemic started in 2020. Notice I say the word started. The pandemic has not ended. The pandemic is with us here every day, and for the foreseeable future of our lives, we are going to be in a pandemic. People are still getting sick. People's immune systems have now been compromised. They are damaged. They are significantly damaged. Some people are constantly getting sick. They get over one virus, then a week later, they get sick again with another virus. And people are saying, why am I constantly getting sick? Why am I constantly not feeling well? What is going on? People do not have answers. People need answers. The media, they are not out there to help us. They have abandoned us. The majority of the media does not even correlate people constantly getting sick because of COVID. They're not even talking about that. There are a few outlets that are starting to come around and talk about COVID and long COVID. We'll get to long COVID in a minute. There's a few outlets starting to talk about it, but it's not nearly enough coverage. The national news, it comes on here in the East. It comes on at 6:30 at night. Central Time, it's 5:30. West Coast, it's a different time. The national news, if they talk about any of these viruses, they put it in like a brief 30-second clip saying, oh, respiratory illnesses is rising across the country. CDC urges people to take caution, blah, blah. CDC doesn't urge anyone to do anything. CDC doesn't even take precautions at their own agency, Centers for Disease Control. Yet the other day at the CDC, what do we see? Oh, let's have fun at work day. Let's have a little party. Let's have a band come in. Yeah, that's, quote, they're supposed to be controlling disease when they are spreading disease in their own facility. Did they forget that a year ago they had an outbreak within the CDC? The ones that are supposed to be controlling disease and keeping us safe? Yeah, I think they forgot about that. All right, people are constantly getting sick. People's immune systems are getting warped from COVID. People are not recovering from COVID, but yet you see such little coverage of that again in the media. Long COVID is a real thing. People are abandoning the workforce, not because they're lazy, not because they don't want to work, because, let's face it, many people that get disabled from long COVID at random, not every person that gets COVID gets long COVID. It just randomly happens to people. People at random are going on to get long COVID, and day-to-day activities, day-to-day functioning, it's just not a thing for them anymore. They physically can't do it because the virus has destroyed their life. And who's coming out to help them? As of right now, there is no real initiative to help them. There was a long COVID form long COVID discussion just a couple weeks ago, hosted by Bernie Sanders in the Senate. That's great, but is there any action actually being done from that? So far, I'm seeing absolutely nothing. And to make matters worse, half of Congress doesn't even want to have any association. They're like, oh, we need to stop with this COVID. It's over. It's theatrics. It's just a publicity stunt. Oh, they're going to release the virus again to help Biden win the election. No, no, no. If that was true, then how come it's an issue in every place on this earth? There is not one country in this world that is not dealing with some sort of long COVID issue at this time. It's a real deal. It's impacting people all around the world. And it's going to only continue to get worse because we continue to let this virus spread. Letting this virus spread, that's a topic of its own. Let's discuss that. This virus, it's still spreading. Like I said at the beginning of this, 2020 it started. People are still sick. People are still constantly getting sick. People are constantly getting infected with COVID. It seems as if the second a country, like for example the United States here, we had our winter wave, it dropped. Now we're seeing a couple states starting to rise again, which was not even expected by the models. There's COVID models. They weren't even expected to happen. It seems as that's happening, another country is starting to rise. So right now, Japan is rapidly going up. Hopefully they peak relatively soon. Thailand, we have to watch that as well. Their deaths are reaching multi-month highs. You'll see about that in today's pandemic update later in the day. But it seems as if once one country starts to drop, another one starts to rise. And each time another one starts to rise, you have to start wondering, okay, is there going to be a new lineage of COVID that pops up? Is there going to be a new variant that pops up? Is there? Because it seems as if whenever a country randomly starts rising, some odd variant, whether it be from BA.2, which has been happening lately, or whatever variant, some lineage pops up, and any one of these could become the next big thing. And no one seems to be concerned that we allow this to keep happening. If we could somehow stop this from happening, maybe, just maybe, we could get some sort of a control on the development of all these new variants, and we could actually maybe try and prevent illness. There are simple tools out there that are quite effective. I have an air purifier. It's right behind me. Everyone should have an air purifier. You shouldn't even have to pay ridiculous amount. I mean, some of these high-quality air purifiers, they're expensive. $400, $500, $600, $800. I've seen some that go into the thousands. Everyone should be sent an air purifier. Everyone should also be sent masking. So many people argue and say masks don't work. Well, guess what? When you don't wear a mask the proper way, when you put the mask under your chin, you leave your nose hanging out, you wear the wrong type of mask, of course that's not going to work because you're leaving gaps that will allow for virus to seep in. If you do everything the proper way, it is most effective. But then I see these people that say on social media, oh, well, I masked, I did all this. Can't always believe what you see on social media. I hate to even go down this path, but you have to wonder sometimes when some people get infected and they say, well, they did everything correctly. You just have to wonder, did they? Did the mask actually cover your nose? Did it actually cover your mouth the correct way? You have to wonder about these things. The whole point of this video is people are still sick. We cannot abandon the fact that this virus is still ongoing. We cannot abandon the fact that there's a lot of crazy things happening right now. Measles outbreaks, hepatitis A, it's popping up left and right. Things that never used to really happen on a widespread level prior to COVID-19. Notice I'm saying 19 because COVID actually started at the end of the year in 2019. People were mysteriously sick, and then that started to spread and become a bigger deal. Well, guess what? Prior to COVID-19, things like measles outbreaks, tuberculosis outbreaks, all these different, viruses that we had vaccines that were working for, they were isolated incidents. Now they are happening on wide scale levels, not just in the United States. In the UK, you're going to see in the UK today, there are a ton of schools that are having potential outbreaks of measles right now. You're going to see that in the pandemic update later today. That shouldn't be a thing. But with COVID having the ability to impact your cells in your body, which weakens your immune system, we're allowing this to happen. And everyone just seems to be okay with that. It should not be okay. It's not okay. People constantly getting sick. No, that does not build up your level of immunity. Well, if you get sick, your immune system level, no, it's not going to go higher. It's going to weaken your immune system, and people are going to get sicker. They're going to get more tired. They're not going to be able to function. People are not going to be doing things correctly. We're going to be seeing mishaps. We've already been seeing mishaps. There, as far as I'm concerned, and I don't have numbers to back this up, but I have seen more things that just should not be happening than I have ever seen prior to the start of COVID-19. We're seeing accidents increased. We're seeing train derailments at levels not seen. We're just seeing disasters that shouldn't happen because of people making mistakes. And what can cause you to make mistakes? Your brain not functioning properly? Why, yes, COVID can impact your brain. And COVID can weaken your immune system. When you're constantly sick, you're not able to do your job at 100%. You're doing it at a lower level of quality. The quality of work that you're putting out is lower than it should be because, well, heck, you're constantly sick. Your body is not able to function properly. You're not as efficient as you used to be. And this is impacting millions of people. But hey, life goes on. Congress and Senate, they want to play the politics game. Oh, well, we can't help your party because we help your party. Well, that's going to help your candidate become the president. And if we help your candidate become, well, our candidate won't win. They're sitting there playing these stupid games that benefits no one, and meanwhile, everyone is constantly getting sick. Even people in their own offices, Senate and Congress, are getting sick by COVID, and they're having health emergencies. We're seeing what's happening with Mitch McConnell. I mean, let's face it, Mitch McConnell, he is too old to be in office. There's a lot of people that are too old to be in office that are having constant health problems because of age, or maybe they've been impacted. And we do know there are members of Congress and Senate, whether they want to admit it or not, a couple have, most have not, that are dealing with long COVID issues right now. And meanwhile, instead of being a whistleblower and going out and, alerting their colleagues who are in their party or the other party saying, hey, wait a second, I'm dealing with long COVID here. I'm starting to understand what the American people are going through. They're being told to be quiet and not do anything to slow this down. And meanwhile, here we are in 2024. Everyone's pretending that everything's fine, but it's not. Oh, school closed because of illness. Outbreaks. I mean, people going back to the office. I mean, there are more people back to the office now than at any point during the pandemic. I'm seeing people at offices on Fridays. For the longest time, that was not a thing. There is now Friday rush hour here where I live in office areas. There's a lot of traffic going to and from the offices on Friday. Last year, that was not a thing. What happens at offices, these corporate places? Business meetings? Can that be done from home? Yes, look, I'm using a camera to communicate to you right now. They can do remote meetings. They don't need to be in person, but they are. What happens when you're in person, when you're around other people? Well, there's potential that one person could be infected, and that person that's coming in infected could spread it to other people. Then they, in return, take it home to their families. And I think we're starting to see that happen right now in the United States, which is why some of these cities are starting to see COVID cases go up again, because a lot of people just returned to the office for the first time in a long time. Some of these offices, hundreds of people in one crowded room, crammed together, with no one saying, oh, if you're going to have an office, you must have an air purifier. No, they're not mandated to do that. They just go in there. They're not mandated to have purified, clean air. I mean, come on. We need some guidelines. If you're going to have a big office gathering, if you're going to have a school, it should be mandatory to have clean air in these facilities. We should be doing everything humanly possible to stop transmission of all these viruses and prevent people from becoming sick before it becomes too late and too many people are sick. Okay? You understand where I'm coming from here? We need to work together to help slow down these viruses. We need to do research to find out why certain people are getting sick, why at random some are getting long COVID and other people are not. I mean, there are examples where you'll have a household of 3 or 4 people. Let's just say 3 people. 2 people get COVID, completely recover. John Smith over here, however, gets COVID, does not recover, goes on to develop long symptoms. Meanwhile, all 3 of them are related by birth, say the mother and father, and John Smith's the son. The mother and father are fine. John Smith goes on to develop long COVID. Why is that happening? We need to be pouring money into research to figuring out why that is a thing. And I'll tell you what, it's stressful when you're in those situations. I'm a person that deals with some sort of long COVID. Everyone deals with it differently. One day I'm fine, next day I have my coughing symptoms. And when I think it's going to go away, I tell my doctor, oh yeah, I'm feeling much better. Oh, suddenly it can reappear again. It's frustrating. People want answers, but they're not getting answers because no one seems to give a damn. Sorry for the language, but you know what? It's a maddening situation that we have allowed this to happen 4 years now. Oh, more than 4 years. 2019 it started. It's too long. And you know what? People are not going to stand for this anymore. All these mysterious illnesses. Oh, so-and-so celebrity had to cancel a show because of a mysterious illness. Come on. Face it. Have they had COVID? Their immune system is likely warped. They're constantly overworking themselves. They didn't get proper rest. Okay? See where I'm coming from? I hope I made the point clear here that we need to take this seriously. It's time to stop playing games. It's time to start getting out there and trying to do something about the problem. Reporting on the problem. Alright? If you enjoyed this video, I hope you did, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. We'll have our regularly scheduled pandemic update later in the day. Sorry for the rant, but you know what? This needs to be said because enough is enough of people just doing absolutely nothing and thinking, oh, well, I'm just a little under the weather today. Everything's fine. I'll be okay. No, it's not fine. It's not fine. We can't allow people to just go on and brush it off and push it off to the side and do poor quality work because they're not up to their best because COVID has destroyed their immune system and now they constantly get sick. Alrighty, I'll see you all again later in the day for the pandemic update. Thanks for watching.